Many years ago, 10 years ago, a young Asmongold stood at the Stormwind Harbor, waiting to sail out to Borean Tundra. At this point, he had just completed most of Sunwell, at least, or at least part of Sunwell. He had gotten into the best raiding guild on the server, and he was ready to take on the new expansion with all of his new boys. I had made friends. I had gotten together. I guess I'm going to interchangeably use first and third person, by the way. I had gotten together with everyone, and we were waiting for Wrath that final night. We were talking about what we were going to do in Naxxramas. We knew that we had an advantage because my guild had done 60 Naxxramas as well, so they knew a lot of the mechanics. The boat opened, we went over there, and we leveled up as fast as we possibly fucking could. Our hunter, Inu Demon, Inu, he was one of the best known hunters back in the day. Like, I guess it seemed like to me, at least, from that perspective. He got cheated out of the server first level 80 because there was another guy that was on the Horde side. He was a mage who was having his friends mob tag for him, and he ended up beating Inu by about 5 minutes or 15 minutes. And I remember I was sitting in Grizzly Hills at the Westfall Brigade area, right there, whenever that happened. I finally got up to level 80, and I started doing dungeons, and everybody was doing dungeons. They seemed to be a lot easier than the Burning Crusade ones. There were a couple of exceptions that were a little bit more difficult, but for the most part, they weren't really all that hard. Before streaming. Oh yeah, this is before streaming and anything like that. Yeah, we did get beat. We finally get geared up into the 5-mans, and we go into Naxxramas, and we clear it, of course, and everybody else cleared it. It wasn't really a big deal. We did Sartharian 3 Drakes. At this point, the guild had had a couple of problems. Imagine how, no, we did help them. I remember I stopped leveling. I don't want to derail this too much, but basically, we did help him level up. We went all the way over to Zul'Drak, and we actually helped him do the Ring of Blood over in Zul'Drak to hopefully get him up to level 80, but it just wasn't really quite enough. So we do Naxxramas, we have fun with that. We do Sartharian. It takes us a little bit longer, and there was another guild that had actually done Sartharian 3 Drakes before us. Now, our guild was known to be some of the most toxic assholes on the entire server, and we wore that badge or that mantle with honor, okay? And we earned it too. Every single day that any of us logged on. We were the biggest dickhead guild on the entire server, okay? And at this point, we weren't really doing very well because it's like you can't really be a huge dickhead guild and not be the best guild. So I felt kind of bad about this, and we were actually the first guild to kill Malygos on the server, right? Or like on, I guess it was Alliance. I think it was a Horde guild that was ahead of us. But we were the first guild on Alliance, so the people that we saw to kill Malygos. And I remember very clearly accidentally linking Champion of the Frozen Wastes in trade chat and then saying, oh, mistel. Right? And then everybody being like, wow, you got this? I'm like, yeah, dude, it's not a big deal. I was just trying to link it to my friend to show him. You know, but yeah, I accidentally linked that shit in chat, yeah. And so I was really happy about that. Then, one night, we thought to ourselves, what if we go and we do Immortal? And we had talked about it for a while. I had looked at the tank spot guide about it. I had looked up the information. We had taken our time, and we had put things together, and we had decided that on that night, we were going to go for Immortal. We zone in. Everybody's spirits were extremely high. And we did Vesuvius first, because that Vesuvius was the highest of the first 4 bosses, that there is a chance of an accidental death, because of, you know, a missed taunt or something like that. Well, we go in and we fight Vesuvius, and someone dies. They fucking die. They fucking die on the first goddamn motherfucking boss. At this point, our morale started here, and it went down to here. Alright? It was really, really fucking bad. Nobody was happy about it. Everybody was fucking pissed. People are blaming each other. People are probably already putting in applications to other guilds at this point. And our raid leader, he said, he's like, listen, fuck it. Let's wait for the soft reset, and let's try again. And I didn't know really if this was going to be a good idea. I thought, you know, this is like, I mean, we just wiped on the first boss. Good luck, boys. But we waited for the 30 minutes, for the instance to completely soft reset. And our guild leader had come from a much more progressed guild. He already has Sartharian's 3 Drakes 10-man title at the time that we were doing this. So he was completely fucking ready to go. He was way more geared. Like, he was the best player in the guild by a fucking mile, right? And he didn't have Immortal, though. So we get together. We go back in. And we fight Resuvius again. And we kill him. Nobody dies. And you know what? We did some of the other bosses. And we took our time. We really did. There were some bosses that, on Hegan, I'll be honest, guys. I didn't trust myself to do Hegan and do the safety dance. I sat outside and I waited for them to kill the boss because my computer was so shitty. I didn't want to be the person that ruined our run. I sat out there like a fucking bitch. So anyway, we finally get all the way through. We get to Saffron, we kill Saffron, we get to Kel'Thuzad. We had a couple of close calls, extremely close fucking calls. And we got Immortal. Where was it? Was it Legacy? I guess it's Legacy, right? Maybe it is. Yeah, right there. We got Immortal, and that's where I got my Black Proto Drake. And at that point, like, that was like probably one of the best moments of like my WoW career, because at this point, like, everybody in the guild had hated us, right? Because obviously, you know, our guild was full of assholes. We had a really, really bad reputation, and it was just a very, very just, you know, toxic environment. And everybody thought that we were a has-been guild. It's like, oh, this guild used to be good. Oh, I remember back in Burning Crusade, remember this guild was good. We got that fucking title, and we were good. There was no more has-been shit about it. We were up there, and we were the only people on the fucking server with that fucking mount. So anybody that was talking shit, didn't matter, because we had the mount and they didn't. Nobody got Immortal after that. Including us whenever we tried to redo it. But nobody got Immortal after that. No other guild. So even whenever Ulduar came out, we were the only people on the server with that mount. Ulduar comes out. Ulduar was a lot harder than Nex. And we got all the way over. The first day of Ulduar, I started raiding at like 9 in the morning as soon as the servers came up, and I ended the raid at like 4 a.m. It was like a 17-hour raid. And we got over to Yogg-Saron, and I was really, like, I was confused because all these people were talking about this weird thing where, like, there are, like, clouds on Yogg-Saron, and you're not supposed to go in the clouds. I'm like, guys, we're not in the sky. Where are all these clouds that you guys are talking about? And what I didn't realize is the fact that my HP computer that I bought from Sam's Club in 2004, and by I bought, I mean my mom bought, was so fucking shitty, it couldn't even render the clouds. So I did a little bit of progression with that guild. And they impolitely, asked me to leave the guild. Or to stop raiding, actually. They were okay if I was in the guild, but they didn't want me to raid because I was just being a detriment to the guild, okay? So I understood that, I got it. And I remember I was talking to my dad, and I was at Arby's with my dad. You guys know Arby's, right? The place that sells roast beef sandwiches? Oh, it sucks. You don't want to go to Arby's. Well, anyway, I go to Arby's with my dad, and I'm talking to him about, like, you know, maybe, Dad, I'm going to get a job now. And I was just telling him that because I knew that's what he wanted to hear. I had no intention on getting a job. I was going to make my own guild and keep going and do it on my own, okay? Like, it's not going to fucking job, okay? It's not going to happen. So I told my dad that shit. Obviously, it never happened. Then I go back and, you know, the guild does kind of well, but people start going their own separate ways. They were a little bit frustrated with each other with how the guild had been doing. And generally, people weren't very happy with the way that, you know, our progression had been going. And people started leaving the guild. Excuse me. I gotta take a drink of water. Couldn't catch me, I'll be moving fast. This is the kind of stuff I would force myself to throw up to gag up, but I can't do that obviously on stream. Okay, I think I'm good now. Sorry. Anyway, so basically, so I start raiding, and everybody. Sorry, I lost my place here. A lot of the people ended up leaving the guild, right? They went their separate ways. Some people transferred servers, some people quit the game, and some people just simply joined other guilds. And the community and the guild that we had, that they had since in vanilla WoW, that had transferred over 2 servers together, drifted apart. It was sad. It was the first time that I'd ever thought that I didn't know what to do. That was disappointing. And for the first time in a long time, I was without a guild and without a community. And at that moment, I thought to myself, I played this game for 5 years. 3 years. I've seen the ins, I've seen the outs. I've seen the ups, I've seen the downs. I know what it takes. And I made my own guild. It was the first one that I ever made seriously. I started inviting everybody that I knew. That guild, its name was Pariah, because that's what I was. Nobody would invite me to raids. Nobody would invite me to groups. Nobody would play with me because I was a terrible person and a piece of shit. Nobody liked me. But these people did. I invited as many people as I could to the guild, and that night, we raided and we cleared Ulduar. I ransacked other guilds for their best players. I took them and I laughed in their fucking face. We collapsed 4 guilds to take the best players from those 4 guilds to bring them all into mine. I would recruit people out of guilds in order to collapse the guilds, in order to recruit other people out of the guild whenever I originally had no intent on trialing the people that I originally recruited, because the people that I wanted to be in the guild would not leave the guild until it would fall apart. So obviously the solution to that was collapse the guild. I collapsed multiple guilds. I would recruit enough players out of the guild to where it would no longer be functional. People would leave, and then I would get the players that I wanted, and then we would go back into the raid. I remember there was a turning point. It was on the old forums. Someone said, we're still progressing. And I said, progression doesn't count if it's backwards. That guild fell apart. It died. And that person sent me hate mail for the next 2 years because of it. Fuck them, dude. Well, what happened later on was I had to start college again. And this was right about the time that Trial of the Crusader came out. We were still doing Ulduar a little bit. The server first was still up for grabs. But Trial of the Crusader came out and we were focusing mostly on that. A lot of the people in the guild were still a little bit, antsy. They didn't really know what to expect because obviously it was a very new guild. We had a number of very big accomplishments, but at the same time, a lot of people didn't really expect things to go well. The way that I recruited people into my guild is I would do pugs for Obsidian Sanctum dungeon that I just did, and I would ninja loot all the gear to my best friends and all the people in my guild. And I would tell everybody who I pugged, if you're a good player, apply to the guild, because I'll do this for you too. That's how we got the best people. It worked. Unfortunately, my right-hand man, one of my best friends in WoW at that time, he was promoted up to raid leader in my absence because I had college classes in the evening. And he didn't have the experience that I had with raid leading. He wasn't ready to deal with the problems, the trials, and the tribulations, and the setbacks, and the disappointments. So whenever somebody fucked up, he treated them like shit, and he made a lot of people leave the guild. And at a certain point, we realized that this thing had run its course. Everything was over. There's nothing really left to do. I didn't really know what to do, but he did. He applied to a guild called Mors Certa, on Kill Jaden. And I logged on one morning, and I looked in the guild bank, and half of it was gone. I sent him a message on Skype, or it was on MSN. I forgot which one it was. I said, hey, Rob, what happened to the guild bank? He's like, well, I transferred, and I took the patterns and everything. And then he told me the other half is for you. Come with me. Fuck it. And I did. I just said, fuck it, dude. Yeah, remember the story? Yeah, this is how it all ties together. And I transferred over to Kill Jaden. I stole everything else out of the guild bank except for a couple of fucking things. I called it quits, and I said, I left everything in the rearview mirror, and I went exactly over to Kill Jaden, and I left all of my friends. I left everything. I left, playing with my mom, because she was on that server too. I left everything behind to go with my friend to pursue, being the best raider and the best player that I could be. And I went over that server, and I was. And you know what? It didn't mean a fucking thing. I never cared. Never mattered. I realized I had made the worst decision in my entire WoW career. To leave all of my friends, everyone that I had known, and the reasons that I had played the game behind. I stopped playing my warrior. I ended up going back and just playing my alts on my old server and playing with some of the remnants of my old guild. And they had made a new guild together with some of the random people that were still left around, and I ended up playing with them until one day on my old guild website, that same guild master that had asked, he transferred servers just to play with us, to bring us to success. He said, you know what? My trial right now with Midwinter isn't going very well. How do you guys think about getting the gang back together? There's a lot of people that were really skeptical about it. They were worried. They were just thinking that, yeah, there's no way this is going to work. There's no way this is ever going to happen, right? Nobody wanted to take the leap of faith. But I did. We were deciding on servers. Nobody really had a very clear idea, but there were a couple of people that we knew that played on one server, and we chose that server to move over to. That server was Kel'Thuzad. I was one of the first people to transfer over and take the leap of faith to reform the guild over on this server 8 years ago. We got together, we reformed the guild, and before the expansion was over, we killed Heroic Lich King. Everything was looking good. Everybody was back together. And that fucking moment, like, that was just, it was everything that I ever could have wanted, right? Like, having everybody back together and just like those were all my friends, like my real life friends that come together. Like, I had everybody there in my guild, and it was just like the best fucking feeling that you could have ever imagined, right? To have something that you thought was over forever, to have something that you thought was finished, to have something you thought was done, you'd never get back. To have it again, it felt really fucking good. And we got everybody together, and we were one of the best guilds on the server, and that's basically the entire story of my Wrath of the Lich King experience. That's the whole thing. That's it. There it is. That was it. Like, it was a great fucking time. Like, I still can't even believe, like, in a lot of ways, I think that it was the best story. It is the best, like, WoW storyline that I probably have. Maybe the Cataclysm one is a little bit better. It's like each one is good in, like, its own way. But I think the Cataclysm one is also pretty good. Maybe Mists of Pandaria to a very, very lesser extent. But I would say Wrath of the Lich King is probably the best one, at least in my mind. Of, like, the best memories that I have and everything like that. It was fucking incredible. Name of the guild once united? Overdose. It was our original name. Because on, yeah, I forgot to mention that. Basically, like, what happened with like our old guild, and this is like in Ulduar, or no, this is in like the end of Burning Crusade, is that our guildmaster quit, and nobody was able to like get guildmaster away from him, so we all had to quit the guild to make our own new guild, and we called it Driven. And then we ended up going back and remaking our original guild name Overdose on Kel'Thuzad. So it was like truly like a return to form.